Hello, good morning, everyone. I am blessed to have here before us Queen Sunny Honey. For those of you all who don't know, we grew up together. We grew up sucking pacifiers together. We went to elementary school together. We went to middle school together. We went to high school together. And guess what, y'all? This was my first roommate in college. So, she know a whole lot about me and a whole lot about the dirt. But what we're going to talk about today is etymology. And the reason why we're going to talk about it is because of the fact that for some of you all who know, I am a certified parent instructor. And one of the things that we have to do as parents, we have to be careful what we name our children. Not only should we be careful what we name our children, we need to be careful in terms of what we answer to as well. So without further ado, hopefully, can you hear me okay, Queen Sunny Honey?
Absolutely coming through clear. Thank you for having me, Aunt Mary's niece.
I
And what a
love
wonderful,
having you here. Now,
yes, what a wonderful topic because this etymology is all about the origin, the root, where you come from. And
mhm.
you represent that for me. So, yes, it is an honor to be on the show with you today.
Well, thank you. You represent that for me. So I am so happy. And she's all the way from the, oh my gosh, I'm about to mess it up. Sorry. Y'all, I'm sleepy. I've had a long night, but thank God for it.
Early morning over there. I bring you greetings from the Middle East. But yes, I am a red base, South Carolina 803, baby. Cornbread and grits, honey. But
Yeah.
I do bring you greetings. It is what time over here? 4 p.m. So I was just telling my sisters, like by the time the East Coast wakes up, it's the end of the day for me. And we want to talk about heading off talking about etymology. One of
Mhm.
the differences between names back home and names here are people's first, middle, and last names are different. It represents their father and their grandfathers and their family name.
Mhm.
So the names are passed down. And every Friday for thousands of years, people with that name come together to grandma's house for thousands of years as a tradition. They don't work. It's the etymology of the name, the power behind that very last name. And it's something wonderful to see and know that it's carried and the names are being carried on. So to hear you bring up the subject, I actually took the time. I'm an educator, so I wrote down the names of one gender of my class, and I was going through the list and talking to the kids about their names. One
Mhm.
name is, for example, Sheikha, means princess. And we have Sheikha is popular all over the world. It's a popular Arabic name. I know Sheikha's back home in America, and to know that that means princess. My government name I'll never forget a woman who is from India, a college professor with a bindi in her head. An elder walked up to me one day and asked me, "Do you know how powerful your name is? Your name is from the origin of my country, and Sanita means beautiful character." Now, I had already heard and read it on Google somewhere, but when
Mhm.
you have somebody give that to you from, that just knows it's popular in their country and pop in, it's different.
Absolutely. Someone asked me last week, who named me, and did I know what my name meant? And I said, yeah, I definitely know what it means. All my names actually. My first name that no one really knows, but I know you do. Please don't say it. Mom's the world. Thank you. Give me that sign. Well, that means adaptable. I can adapt to any situation that you give me, and I can say I have truly lived through that. But the name that everyone calls me, and she probably going to end up saying it by the time we finish, it means to glorify God. And so even when I'm trying to do wrong, I end up still glorifying God. And then my maiden name, it actually means wealth, walking the wealth of your family. And then my that number one name, I say that it's a present to walk in, and to be doing something. So it's a verb. So I'm constantly doing what I do to glorify God, and I'm adaptable to my surroundings, and I carry a wealth of knowledge. So I thank God for it. And it was my Aunt Eva who actually named me the name that I absolutely love. Now there are some people who love calling me by that other name that I don't like. And when they do, sometimes they don't see me for a minute. Or if there's a special request, it's an automatic no. She didn't expect me enough to know. Call me by the name that I want to be called. But for Aunt Mary's niece, I actually had a great grand aunt named Mary, and she was a hoodoo healer in the community. Matter of fact, her house was across from Joe Mel Lee. You can go there right now on Lafayette. There's a long greenhouse, and so when we were growing up, when people couldn't afford insurance or health care, they would go to her because she had different plants and so forth in her yard, and she knew stuff. And I thank God for her because she taught me a whole lot of things. And there's other places that you can go to. Now, you all, I must tell you, I have to get my thank you, baby. I have to get my that's my daughter. Her name is Destiny. Can I please get a napkin? And all of my children name is something unique, something that God told me about, with the exception, or it has something to do with their life path. And hopefully, Queen Sunny Honey and I, we're going to talk about life path and life numbers in an upcoming session, if you will. But she was the only one that God didn't tell me what she was going to do, but to make sure that I named her Destiny. Everyone else, I can truly say, is living out their names too. And she was also named from my deceased grandmother on my paternal side. And that's a long story too. Now, I don't think you all would really want to hear the truth on it, but what I feel comfortable, I'll tell you. That's something. So I'm going to eat my little French fries because I don't eat meat. And like I said, I had a very long night. It was very productive. And so I got to maintain my strength so I can go along my day. So
absolutely.
When you talk about, huh?
Go right ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how long has it been that you've given up meat?
I started last year. I did a 7-day fast with only water, and I felt amazing. I actually went to my doctor, and he said, "How are you standing before me?" I lost, I think, 10 pounds, and I had more energy just doing a water fast, nothing but water, all day and all night. And then I went back to eating meat. I went to a restaurant that I absolutely love to have the shrimp and grits. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know what restaurant that is, out of town. And when I had that food, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so different. And then I started eating my meat and everything that I grew up on again, and I felt totally bad. And so over a period of time, when you're doing work and work for people, sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things. So my meat was one of the things that I sacrificed to get my work done. But not only that, I feel amazing. And even if you look at my skin looks great. And I do have soda, which you're gonna see me drinking. But I feel amazing since I stopped eating meat. Now we do have meat in my home, just because I made that decision, I don't impose it on other people or my children. So you might see me posting meat, but if it's not seafood, and I will eat seafood too. If it's not seafood, I'm not going to eat it, but I'll talk about it because I'm proud of what my children do. And your niece is a chef, so I got to advertise.
It's amazing. Thanks for that commercial. That's something that I lived in, that lifestyle because before coming here and everything was allowed, and that's what I'm resorting back to. So I wanted to ask that quickly before we get back into etymology. Mm-hmm. When I look at the different names that I've had throughout the years, early on as a kid, I worked in radio at 94.7 Choice FM.
And I work at 95.3 FM. Gospel station. So we both worked in radio.
Exactly. And during those times, my name was Busha. Mm-hmm. People knew me. And, we go through what I like to call the part of like having a rites of passage.
Mhm.
In the same way the discovery of the etymology behind being someone a part of the diaspora with the last name, I chose to have this Busha as a first name. When I would transition into the radio personality, it was based upon this woman who worked for Morris College Station, Miss Janie Washington. She
Mm.
had this melodious voice. Her rest in peace to Marvin Scarborough. I would
Yes, I know
listen
Marvin. Great
and
friend
just how it resonates. You talk about etymology, man.
of
Marvin
mine.
Scarborough. People
Yeah.
from Sumter County knew that he wasn't just an undertaker who worked alongside my father, but he was on the radio. And
Yes, he was a friend of mine.
they made a big impact in my life. That
Yes.
element of Usha. You know, he knew me as both my father's daughter, Sunita, beautiful
Mhm.
character, as well as Busha. Um, and so La Bouche being French for mouth. That's where that came from. And I knew early on.
You
I
got a lot
actually,
of mouth too.
yeah, I knew the ninth wonder, and it's in that wisdom that we share. When we're looking at etymology behind names, honey, the same way you know certain zodiac signs, when you come across something that's just like indigestion for you, it works well for other people, but it gives you allergic reactions like, you know, I'm not calling out any zodiacs, but you know who you are. You know, you have a direct alignment. And it's also the same when it comes to names and vibrations with me.
Mhm.
So I'm on live, so I'm not gonna be personal because people are going through the list like, "Ooh, anybody that got this name, she really don't vibrate well with you." But certain names in life that it just never worked out. You know,
But
I
I can
remember
tell you, I can tell
I
you some
won't.
names that don't work out for me. If I hear that name, just speak, I'm gonna keep on moving, keep on walking, because I know that their name, the vibration of their name, do not agree with me, even if they're a very nice person. Just like even if I'm doing a reading for someone, or if we're talking about business or what have you, or somebody discussing something that's going on with them, sometimes I just have to hear the name of a person, and that name will tell me exactly their destination, what they're currently doing, and different things of that nature. And sometimes I might say, run, 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 you know, or I might say stay, or, work it out, or what have you. It just depends on the situation. But there's a lot that goes into a name. And even, believe it or not, like Capricorn deals with Saturn, Saturn deals with time, time means death sometime. So an
That's right.
ending and a beginning of a new situation. And so even when I hear someone name, it can kind of foretell different things that will happen in their life. Like sometimes matter of fact, I was looking at Newsbreak today, and it was a male son who was killed. And I said, you know what? She shouldn't have named her son that. And even the spelling of it, the spelling of it and the letters and how it intersect, it kind of told me that he was gonna, die at an early age because of the spelling of it and the way that it's pronounced and the meaning and different things of that nature. But even because we're both educators too, I remember when I was in the elementary school environment, with the full moons, children behave, oh my God, that's like the worst time. And people, they behave awful. If you ever want a child not to be able to sit still and can get into stuff, let there be a full moon. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. Go ahead.
Okay, let me share my experience.
Hmm.
Um, I, we attended Sumter High School, and there was this place called Sumter County Career Center. I
Hmm.
was fortunate to not only attend it, but one day they gave me my first teaching job. I was in culinary arts. I look over, I'm greeted by the shop teacher who remembers me as a student. And I'm thinking that oh, my old redneck cousin about to come and just give me that. Man, first day of school was a full moon. And this man warned me. He said, I promise you, Miss Shannon, even if you don't believe it, he said every word that you said. And I was
Hmm.
already a believer. Hallelujah, you knew. But 5 minutes later, after the kids were already walking in, the behavior, this child was on top of a desk on the first day of school. if you don't grab the olive oil from the culinary shelf and just drape the door and just cover yourself with it, even if you don't believe truly as a teacher, not just the full moons, the aspect of coming into a classroom every year, seeing a brand new roster, and I actually felt the vibrations of the names. I know T Wise, you know, Robinson reports to the office. Names beginning with T Wise. I know what Ra does, R-A. And you know, when I have a background with a degree in English, so I love to break the word, and you're taught, even if you're studying the word, etymology is, you know, you break off the ology and then you break down the word until you can understand the fabric from which the origin of it. And when you're breaking down your name, man, it's a lot. So we got to look into ourselves. Even in HR department, people use astrology against you. When you're looking at blue collar and white collar America, these jobs that are for accounting, they're using the stars and the high science and knowing that we don't want emotional, compassionate people dealing with numbers. We need certain names and vibrations, and these bobs and bills will get it done, honey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? It's something that you just said that is so great. You have to look inward, inside yourself, in order to pull whatever outward, you know, because one of the things, whatever going on with you on the inside is going to always show up on the outside. And sometimes you have to solve issues inwardly first before you go out and try to solve them with other people, you know. And even with what you were saying about that, it reminds me of one of my uncles. He was like, because at that time they felt like I was very Afrocentric, but I don't think I've ever been. I've always enjoyed all cultures. And at that present time, I was more into the African because I was hanging around a lot of African people because I was an African dancer. But nevertheless, he was like, I hope you don't name your children all kind of these crazy names. And I was like, what kind of crazy names? And so when they got the regular names, so they say, they kind of cooled down. But I was very thoughtful, you know, while I was carrying my babies and trying to understand how I wanted their life to be projective and what I wanted them to do. You know, when your nephew, I used to always tell him that he was going to travel and he was going to a certain country and he need to learn this language. Now that came from like 2-3 years old because that's what I heard God tell me, as well as certain things about him and his character. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. But I said, well, you don't want to do it, but then you do it anyway. And then he'll go, if you give him an opportunity, like his last day in Sumter, South Carolina, he actually had to go pick out a book. That very thing that he said he didn't want to do was the very book that he went and picked up. And I said, I see you. I see you. And so, you know, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, I can't wait to see this wonderful man actually live out his name, you know. And even when you look at your niece, you know, the one that can crochet with her fingers because you taught her, well, her name means cheerful. So even when she tried to get upset, she's always cheerful. And I had an option of putting in one S or two. I have two S because I didn't want her to be as one at that particular time because she was also named after her father. And that was because I did not want to name the male child after them because I was looking at some things with sometimes, you know, children is not as righteous and sometimes parents is not as righteous and they do things credit wise. So I figured that would be a way to still honor him with one of the children, but yet making sure that they can keep their credit separate.
So you know, niche that in there, you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, and even when you look at certain
that's breaking generational curses right there. That's a discontinuing certain behaviors and not allowing that to be attached as a namesake. And that's very, very important.
But I got this one child in here. Oh my God, if I did a little bit more research, her first name wouldn't have been what it is because every one of those people that got that name, they are something else. But you know what? I still thank God for her because she has made me a better person, especially when it's a full moon, because that's when her and I usually get at it. But it has taught us how to work through challenges and different things of that nature. So, and you know what's so funny about that child? That's the one that's going to be the accountant. That's the one that's going to be able to count money very well, you know, because she has that temperament where she's not emotional at all, you know. And like my son, he was born, he's a Pisces. And this lady, she was dressed all in white. And so I'm talking and I'm talking. And she came and she held him when he was first born. And she said, you know what, you're gonna always be able to tell when there's bad weather coming. Because he gonna tell you. I kid you not, that Pisces, because Pisces is an emotional person. You know, it represents the water element. Even when you're looking at tarot and different things of that nature, when you start
Happy
seeing,
birthday, Pisces.
yeah, his birthday is coming up at the end of this month. But Pisces is, oh my gosh, and I've dated a Pisces before. Oh, you talking about putting you through something?
Ooh, you got to feed that ego. I had me one.
Never
Not
again.
Pisces.
Never again. Because you know I'm in the air element. You know, I care but don't care. And you gotta let me go and do what I want to do. And then I come back. But never again.
With
But
careful research, we understand what does not vibrate with us well.
huh? Say it
With,
again.
with careful research, we understand which signs don't vibrate well.
Mm-hmm.
And something going on, but not much in other ways.
Mm-mm. And matter of fact, that Pisces is supposed to be coming over to do something today. And I'm like, oh gosh. And it raining. So you know how I'm feeling.
Okay.
Thankfully, they got to be outside the door. So I ain't even got to see them.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Mm,
getting into these etymologies, when I look, I want to talk about etymology when it comes to safety and
mm-hmm,
just being stopped for profiling.
mm-hmm,
That's another thing that when things came up and I'm living abroad,
mm-hmm,
that was the connection amongst, I guess, teaching humanities. One
mm-hmm.
day the kids were like really reaching out to me when things happened. They would be like, Miss, we heard what happened in America. And, you know, these kids would be so angry with the injustice. And I would ask them, you know, what's the connection you have with me? And they're like, I remember going into airports and having someone treat us this way or a policeman because of our names, you know. And this is how we are one with our brothers and sisters with Black people. We are profiled the same. And I
Mm,
looked at the etymology and the origins of names. And I compared that also to banking systems and job applications and a
mm-hmm.
lot of the things amongst the system that has been keeping people out of a lot of resources. Um, I also, let me answer this call in Ghana.
Okay.
Hello, I'm currently on a live show. If you want to say hi in the background, I'll be able to get back with you in this business call later. Sorry about that.
No
And,
worries.
but yeah, going back to the origin of names, when we're looking at cross culture, when I go places, even traveling in Africa, you know, I feel and I look like the people, and then I look at my name, and once again, that is something that is distinctively different. So when I come across people within the culture who decide to change their names for whatever reason, I look at the etymology of the name as being a source of power. Every person that I've known who's ever changed their name, I know some women who are legally on paper as Oshun. I
What?
know sisters who are just like you. You're the person, the youngest person I knew to legally, you know, just slap the world in the face and make all of us change with the times. And so
I enjoyed it too.
and I myself went through the waves of people, and I even look back on my college experience, and I'm like, how people found me on social media had to be the face, because I promise you, people only knew me by Busha at Benedict College and Franklin University. It's like, ooh, okay, so Queen Sunny Honey is a whole another element.
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I admire about you is when I look at the origin of words and how you pay homage to Aunt Mary's niece, you know, Emma's daughter. It resonates to a level for people to begin to honor and live in a higher vibration
Mhm.
because of the etymology of a name and the honor of it. If you're gonna have a Holy Mary, Mother of God, that you just don't sit up here and give props to, you ought to have that Aunt Mary's niece that you're recognizing and ought to thy own self be true.
True to that. Oh, so true.
You are not going to allow social media to tell you what your latest ritual holiday will be when they say, oh, it's Kente Cloth Day. No, nobody has to tell you it's going to be a day for the mothers. If you're going to brand yourself, listen, listen and resonate and really bring forth the ancestors. Go back to the origins of those names. Is some deep, that's the root. Work your own root.
Work your
Be
own
who
route.
you are. Now, we
Be a
ask
fish by
ourselves,
the river and do not be moved.
thank you. Now you have no excuse because you have genealogy resources to see. There, you said, man, my people moved from up north. My mama and them used to go down south, but my generation stayed in Jersey, New York. Baby, you have genealogy. Now you can see how many aunts and uncles were on the branch, what newspapers they were in, what properties they own in different counties, all the way down to each line, from those
Absolutely.
down to the grandparents, down to the great grandparents. There is an 1865 trauma bonding that has to be released when it comes to the names, because the information is in the book. You cannot refute the Black Wall Street and knowing that your parents had something greatness and a great name, but you got to do the research and
Gotta
understand
do
the
the
etymology
research.
of all people.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a clubhouse group earlier, and this woman was talking about her family property had been in their family since the 1800s, and just listening to this young girl. Then I'm sitting here like, call them names, know the origin.
Yes. Say the names. Say the names. Say the names.
And then she began to say things like, she had recently had a dream and she saw that grandmother and there was something in her just knowing that there is we resonate with the higher frequency when we know our names. How dare you walk upon this earth so ignorant that somebody knows what your name means and profile you, but you don't even know who you are.
That's true. You got to know who you are. Even in the Bible it says know thyself, but sometimes people don't look at it.
Thank you. You
Mm-hmm.
even taught me some money making moves when it comes to names.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, you said something. Had
What?
my brain, girl, after you started talking, I was like, shoot, I might as well put a life insurance policy out on all people in this age bracket that I know who have these particular names because I already knew since she gave birth to them. And when you said it and you talked about the other side of it, the person who had already had the loss, I'm sitting here like, since I know the loss is coming, we got to be able to pay for it instead of having a fish dinner. Ain't no need to have the science. You're here to educate people on the hand of saying, birth a generation like I've done, being intentional with the names that you give. And I'm here to say, with those who are here among us, it's just like Candy, the singer from Escape,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was. She was saying how she put insurance policies out on her friends back they were in that age bracket of the 20s. And things that happened later on was able to do great works with those with the money when things happen to them. Things happen.
But even when you're looking at spiritual work, um, words have meaning. Words, the way that you write them, the in terms of going left to right, right to left, up and down, backwards, and what have you. And that means a whole lot, into that etymology because you can actually change something. Like for instance, I was actually going in and at Walmart and I was going to buy, which I did actually, bought a frozen food. And only thing they did was change the word love and made it backwards. And I said, now look at this. And then they put a period in front of the word love. And the L is at the end. But if a person's not paying attention, they'd be like, how they come up with something like that? you know,
Wow.
and it was something so simple, but it's so bold, you know.
Mm.
And I actually enjoyed the food too. It was really good and nutritious. But they put the love in there. And sometimes people don't want the love. So sometimes you have to give it to them in a way that they can receive it.
That's deep and shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of names, the name of my company is Akachi, and it means Akachi, AKACI.
Okay.
So Aka,
Okay.
Akachi,
Chi. Akachi.
Akachi. It means God's hand.
Wow.
And the number 9.
That is very lovely. Akachi.
And the 9th child. 9 represents the number 9 is an ethereal number, the ethers. And also 9 businesses encompassed for manifestation. 9 businesses manifesting. Okay. 9 income, 9 assets, not just 9. Well, I won't put it like 9 businesses, 9 streams.
But you know what? You kind of on that Tesla vibration, you know, the 369.
Mm-hmm. I received that.
That's the way that you manifest. And even when you look at the Bible for certain things, that 369 mean a whole lot. Now, some people are not gonna say it. But you know, Nikola and Tesla, there are 2 different companies that you could invest into the stock market and make some money about 10 years later. But nobody don't have to listen to me. But it's gonna be $1 billion more than into the trillions. So you might want to get some. And the way to do it is through Cash App.
Available right there in your fingers. Every time I love to remind people that all of this wealth is actually in your phone. People are running businesses in their phone. You can get these cryptocurrencies and these stocks in your phone. Mm-hmm. So you can become a millionaire using that device, your phone.
Absolutely. And you know what, Prophet? Hopefully I'm saying this in the correct terminology, either Prophet or Bishop Bernard Jordan, he always say, especially last year, he was saying, make sure you turn your phone into a cash register, you know. So I would say, let's do it. Turn your phone into a cash register. It doesn't make any kind of sense that you have so much that you can do on the phone. I remember I was going to this church about 4 or 5 years ago. And whenever they did their tithes and offering, and you know, when you do your daily confessions or your affirmations or what have you, they would hold up their envelope. But I held up my phone because I knew what was coming. And everybody's like, this girl crazy. She's sitting here in this church and she holding up her phone while we holding up the envelope. Why is she not following suit? Because good Lord told me not to. Hold up my phone, hold up my pocketbook. And look, now everybody got Cash App. You know, everybody got PayPal because you can do PayPal on your phone. Everybody got online banking at this point. But I remember being laughed at, looked at, and be like, you know, what's you holding up the phone? We holding up these envelopes. But I could create an envelope. It's called a folder within my device and categorize what I want to do, what I want to look for. It's a digital imprint.
It's the Bible, it's the notepad, it's the bank.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the fact of looking at etymology, we're looking at the term cell. Cell phone.
Yes.
We're talking about the human body, which is constructed of molecular cells.
Yes, yes.
We're talking about operating and knowing the origin. And actually, if you're really resonating with us out there, we're telling you, you can either make money, that's the producer, right?
Yes.
Or you can be the person who only spends money using your cells, only giving your cells away. Get it?
That's
giving your cells away through your cell phone, always they clicking and patronizing and blowing up somebody else's numbers and algorithms and feeding up their prosperity through likes and shares, not minding your business. Get into yourself,
yeah.
yourself, your cell phone. Align that with either two options. Either you're going to be a producer or a consumer. Get
Mhm.
with it. Now that's origin of a word.
Absolutely.
Everybody cell phone. Mm-hmm.
But you know what else too? You bring it back to the memory of me, because I'm also a certified herbalist, and a lot of people don't know that they can actually heal themselves. But if you are so happen to look at the late great Louise Hay, she has a book called "You Can Heal Yourself," and it tells you about going through different aches and pains. But nevertheless, too, if you have a little bit like I do, Native American in you, you know what type of herbs that you can take on a daily basis. You know what type of vegetables to eat on a daily basis. You know how to protect yourself on a daily basis just using everyday stuff. But to the world, they'd be like, you got to go to this place, that place. But sometimes when you're looking at sales, your sales will tell you, no, don't eat this. Sometimes your sales say, get more of this. Sometimes your sales be like, you need to
I got
fast.
to take
You
this.
know, sometimes you got
Good.
to have more life into your body, into your mouth, in order to produce more life. Because currency, that's life. Currency is to the beholder. You know, it's really a piece of paper that you feel that has value. Can't you have value with your cell phone? That's a piece of digital currency that you have that has value. You know, it's all in perception in how you look at things, and it's still dealing with the etymology, because I think at one point we said cell phones, we said break phones, we call it some of every type of thing. Now we call it mobile phones or mobile devices or smart phones. And even in that smart, when you look at the acronym in terms of what it means, and right now it kind of escapes me, but you can go on Google because some of the stuff I need you to do research anyway. Look at
That's
what
right.
look at what the meaning of smart is. And now it's your phone. Some things you can kind of think, and then all of a sudden it comes up in that algorithm that you're seeing it. Why? Because it's called artificial intelligence. It's still dealing with sales, but a lot of people are not looking at that.
Mhm. And they're falling for it because certain generations will feel so infatuated when they see that Facebook ad because they just got off the phone talking to somebody about purchasing luggage and
Mhm.
somehow Jesus is placed in front of them. Now understanding that that is artificial intelligence. You
It
know,
is.
AI is advancement. Going back to what you mentioned about currency is so magical to me because the etymology behind the word currency, how you broke it down, is something I truly live by.
Mhm.
Because currency is also the ocean and the ebb and flow, the limitless vastness of it all.
Number
And
eight.
that's
You
right.
telling them about that eight.
That's right.
The eight is
And
the
you know,
flow.
that ebb and that flow, that
Mm-hmm.
ebb, you know, as things are going up, whatever goes up must come down.
Coming down.
But it's the certainty of life and the currency. So when we're dealing with the etymology behind words and people who want to just live in abundance and operate in wealth and break generational curses and bridge generational wealth gaps, it's
Mhm.
important that you understand the etymology behind the currency. So when you see
Absolutely.
that, you will appreciate the water. When you see the currency in the paper, you will see the value. And you always also, excuse my language sake, because you will know that you are the currency.
You
You
are
are
currency.
you
You
are
are
more,
currency.
and our world will be better when you understand the etymology is that that's paper and plastic, baby. You are the very one. So if
You
you don't understand where I'm coming from, let me tell you, you can get out here like the old folks used to say, give your stuff away for free. And the sister up the street sell hers. So whichever one you in her stuff got paid. Now you come back home with an empty pocketbook and a drawer. Woohoo! That's on you, baby.
you.
Yes. Even if you're someone within any institution or group
Mm-hmm.
and they use your gift, your currency that you didn't see value. See, out there in these streets, if you had the value of yourself, this would be a side hustle business. But now you are
Mm-hmm.
volunteering your skill set or building someone else
Somebody
up.
else's dream.
Understand the currency, baby. Get with the current. See?
Absolutely. And you know, another thing too, I remember people were looking at me kind of weird as I was taking my family out of the brick and mortar and putting a lot of things online in perspective. It was like, how and why are you doing that? Because I said there's gonna come a day where you're not gonna be able to go in these places. And even when I had a brick and mortar, I had two brick and mortar offices, and you guys said, you need mobile. You got to look at mobility. But not only that, you need to have something that's current with what's going to be happening, making sure that you're setting yourself up for greatness instead of failure, and not looking at what everybody else got. Because I was thinking that, matter of fact, I was a member of one church and it was in the middle of building, I guess a life center or something. And I remember thinking to myself, why they keep on thinking about all these buildings when they need to be thinking about more online stuff, and trying to service the people that they'll never see. Because a lot of times, and even in my professional business with Aunt Mary's niece, there are a lot of customers I've never seen before. I'm not going to look on their social media, but that's just not me. I'm too busy for that. But not only that, there are people, even in other things I do, I've never met them a day in my life. But because we know about that digital currency, they can get me to do the work and I do it well, you know. And it's a trust factor, you know. But you have to realize, even when you hear a name, like for instance, like when I get a customer, I ask them always to repeat their name. And I can tell when I go into prayer what they got going on with them, what they might be experiences, and some people they get ready to meet along the way, or if I should not even touch it, because not everything that somebody brings to me will I touch, because I'm a different breed of person. And so, you know, I ain't called to everybody, and that's one of the things I realize in ministry is that everybody's not my people, and I'm not everybody else people. You know, I can only help those who God has told me to help, and I will say no in a heartbeat or refer you to somebody else. Because one thing I don't do, I'm never gonna get stressed out in doing my work, because why? It's a God-given ministry, and it's something that He gave me to do. So why am I gonna be stressed out over your situation or over my situation? That don't make no sense to me. I'm gonna enjoy my life while I'm doing the work that I need to do. But it also goes into what is in your name, because what is in your name is also going to tell me about your temperament. It's going to tell me about your behavior patterns. It's going to tell me about some modifications that sometimes needs to adjust inwardly as well as on the outwardly. And sometimes, because of the name that you have been given, you've also been given certain curses along the way, because sometimes people are named after people who have not done as great of things as they need to, or they have sat down on their gifts or what have you, or they're just not good people. But you can't break the curse. Sometimes you have to rename yourself. You know, case in point with Tyler Perry. That's not his real name that he was born with. He renamed himself because the name that he was given, it was his father who was very abusive. And he had to change that so that when he had a child, he had another abundance, meaning a wealth added to his name, and as well as added to his position. Now, one thing that I will say that he has blessed me to hear him say was that because I'm a Gemini, sometimes we get involved with all kind of stuff, and we'll finish it, but we'll finish it when we want to. But one of the things that he said that someone said to him is that he never finished what he started. So regardless of whatever I do, I try to always finish what I start. But it also go back to the etymology that I can be adaptable, because my first name means adaptable to any situation. Now, had I not had that name, then the definition or what I'm going to manifest or what I'm going to walk in could have been a little bit differently too. Now, what I want everyone to do who's listening to the sounds of our voices, I want you to go ahead and research your name. And then I want you to go back and look over your life and look at some of the pros and cons of some things that you have done and some places that you have been, and see how that has affected your life. You know, that's a freebie right there. You know, you have to call your own coat, as they say. You so quiet.
I'm sitting here thinking, when we come across names and we're
Mhm.
dealing with business,
Mhm.
this could, I want people, once you discover what your name is, to get
Mhm.
real down to survival.
Mhm.
COVID has taught us a whole lot that your value of your time is just much more expensive now. So
Mhm.
your ability to deal with certain people,
Mhm.
if it's at work, now that you know what Jackie means, Anita means, Terry means, how
Mhm.
about you carry on and you adapt like her name means to the different names and vibrations? Now that you discover and look at the people around you, start to make that list and just get tickled and keep it to yourself. Let your ancestors guide you in how you're dealing with people. This
Yes.
is truly your life. So you cannot afford to keep having the same names come into your life, and because it's repackaged differently and it
Mhm.
is a total different person, you
Mhm.
keep making the same mistake because you're not willing to bypass that this is just the life path.
Mhm.
It is what it is. This is that true prayer serenity of that thing that you just don't have to accept, that you cannot change.
But you know what? You are so into my wheelhouse because I was thinking to myself about 2 days ago that I think I need to say that prayer at the beginning and at the end of the show. But I forgot about it and you brought it to my remembrance. So thank you, my sister. Thank you.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Since you said prayer, yo, son, check this out. All the Bible believers out there, the word amen. If you don't know it and you've been saying it 40,000 times your whole life, a gazillion times, I'm here to told you. It means it is so. It
Yes,
is so.
it is
Isn't
so.
that so gangster? You can tell how melanated and popping heaven must be like, yo, it is so, cuz. It's like, amen. 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 No matter where you are in the world, me living over here in the Middle East, every single day, as much as people are giving their traditional greetings, I'm constantly being bombarded with amen, amen. If it's the African brother or sister in the street, if it's the Islamic man from the Bacala, the corner store, they're always like looking at you like, amen, mashallah. Now, you don't know what mashallah means, but mashallah means praise God. He's saying amen, praise God when you walk by. It is so, praise God.
Yes, it is so. It is so.
Yes.
But I was thinking too at that same church, a revelation hit me. You gotta be careful what you say amen to, because sometimes you get wrapped up in what people saying and what they're going through that you actually bring it to yourself. So always be careful what you say amen to.
Don't co
It could be
everything.
so.
Let me give you a car accident thing. There was this brother talking on Clubhouse about how he manifested a car accident. And
Mm,
then he said, because he saw it coming, he actually spoke the words. There's an old saying, watch your thoughts for they become words, watch your words for they become actions, watch your actions. Repetition is just your character. And when you
mm,
think about knees that grow, Negroes. I didn't want to say it, but when you think about the ignorant people that will get behind the wheel and say, I wish I would, enticing in this incantation for an
mhm,
accident to happen, for a financial come up, without the thought that there's a possibility that someone will become a victim and lose their life. That's when we're talking about the origin of words. There is a power of words. The same way she brought up Tyler Perry earlier. Yes, that man could take a blank sheet of paper and a pencil or a pen and make us laugh or cry. So you cannot tell me that words, whether spoken or written, don't
mhm.
have power. But what she's saying is, you better know the origin of those words. The most disrespectful thing I did at a youngest age. Here's a confession out of May Chronicles. I'm sitting in the kitchen with my mother. She gives me this story that has a moral lesson. Because back in the day, old folks talked in parables.
Mhm.
And at the end of her story, she told me, um, "Your mouth, gonna write a check your ass can't cash." Mom,
Yes,
what does that mean?
that is her. That's what I know.
And then when she broke it down, she gave me the etymology. And she allowed me to understand that there's a point that you can come to in which there's a consequence. And so when I understood, okay, this is broken down into an origin. And then I was like, well, what does this mean in my action? And she was like, okay, Sunita, excuse me, Queen Sunny Honey is not what my mother called me. But she was like, watch what you say because you can't take it back. And I practiced the most disrespectful thing. I said, Mommy, I'm going to pretend to be an actress and I'm going to say I hate you. See, I said it. And see, it was not of sin, Mommy, because I didn't say it in context and there was not wrath or anger. Girl, I had a smart mouth on me. But my mother looked at me and said nothing, and her nothing in words was a severe punishment to me. And now that I've lived long enough on this planet, I know the severity of what I said. I understand the damage that can be done. I was a child that later on walked down the road and a man, a stranger, just looked at me. And as I was smiling, he told me I was so ugly. Why do I smile? And I know I went through 10 years of a karmic flow from the words I said to my mom because I believe that, man. In those words, the nothingness, the power of the words, the origin, the root, the etymology. I didn't know, I should not have valued where it came from because that's a stranger, but there are still things that attach themselves. So what I'm here to share with people is, it's not that I'm being fake when I'm loving the people, it's because I choose to do the right thing with this two-edged sword. I promise you, I have 2 words. If I want to rid you of my life and just make sure that you will never talk to me again, I got 2 words. I just have 2 beautiful words that I can say depending upon who you are. No more than 2 words that will totally annihilate a person. So when we're looking at origins of words, we better be careful.
Yeah, it's so true. I was telling my daughter yesterday, because we was getting together and there's some things I had to put into perspective. You know, some things I saw that was an error of my ways. So from the oldest to the youngest, even with her children, and she's a married woman, and I was telling them, I said, you know, you can get rid of people and you can keep them by cleaning. It is all in the way that you do it. And I was telling them, and I was trying to teach them something, you know, because you have to have a clean surrounding, especially when you're looking at your life, you know. And I was telling them about the importance of washing their feet, the importance of washing their hair or their ori, depending upon what path you're looking at, but also the importance of your space, you know, because your space says a whole lot of things about you. And even though we were just having a conversation, I wanted to share with them the best position I've ever had in church was when I was a part of the cleaning committee called the Kingdom Cleaners. And that was during the time where, and I've done some of everything, you know, but that was my most favorite position because I had to get down low so that God could elevate me. And in that elevation, he would give me plans, she, or whatever you want to say. I'm not going to get into that with anybody, but God would elevate me and show me different things or tell me different things to do, because there were people who say, oh, she nasty because she got to clean the floor. And I would clean the floor on my hands and knees, you know, even the altar, clean the toilet and what have you. And I enjoyed that. And even now, you know, when I tell certain people I would go in there and clean, they'll look at me like I'm crazy and be like, for real? I certainly will. Why? Because I was looking at, I think it was Claudine or Julia, with Diane Carroll, and she was a nurse. She was a single mother, and she had to tell somebody, she said, you know what? Every woman has to clean their own house. And truthfully, you know, I know that one of my children are going to have somebody clean her house because that's just the person that she is. That's our Joseph in the family. But nevertheless, she needs to have the ability to know how to do it so that if they're not cleaning it up to her satisfaction, she can actually tell them a better way of doing it because she has that hands-on knowledge, opposed to just telling somebody, I need you to do this. And they would have a level of respect for her because she's not too big and bold to get her hands dirty. You know, and I was telling my children too, I said, when you look at what I do in my life, I'm a glorified housekeeper because I clean up people's lives spiritually. I clean up people's lives In any job that I'm doing, I clean up people's lives, and I make sure that I leave them better than where I came, from whence I came, excuse me. And so, you gotta get your hand dirty. And even when you're getting in prayer with people and going through the different motions and what have you, you gotta get your hands dirty sometimes. Because God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. But when you're digging in the ground or digging in the dirt, you're bringing up a lot of nutrients. And even when you're looking at the etymology of names, I haven't forgot what we was talking about. Even though I'm going around the world, we're talking about etymology and what's in a name. Because what's in a name and what you call yourself, even as you're going through different things and someone calling you your name and they're trying to pick you up, you're going to have that thought in your mind. Just like Steve Harvey says, that there's a trigger that he would say early in the morning. I forgot how it goes right now. But that trigger, whenever he hear it, and he talks about how his mother was a Sunday school teacher and things of that nature, it tells you about the character that you will have. Not only that, but it'll tell you about your behavior patterns. If you're going to be a little bit flighty, like I was saying by air size, we can be a little bit flighty, but again, you got to look at it if it's cardinal, mutable, and there's something else that just escaped me, but nevertheless, your name will give reverence to the person that you are, to the things that you would like to manifest in your life, and how quick the ability to do so. So when you're looking at spiritual work and all, because sometimes you can tell people on a 369, like we was talking about earlier, because that's the Tesla law, if you will, that it might take 30 days, it might take 60 days, it might take 90 days. Sometimes it can just take a minute, because it's all in that person's name. Sometimes it can take a week because it's all in that person's name. Because sometimes all in that person's name is also going to tell you if they're going to follow the instructions that you give them. Because some certain names are very stubborn and they're not going to do what you ask them to do, regardless of if they pay for it or not. And because I know the etymology, when I get people like that, you got to go someplace else, because I'm not getting ready to get stressed out. I said that before, and I tell all my clients, I love to go, but as I'm going, please know I always get my work done, but I have to do it according to what's going on and different things of that nature, seasonally. And like right now, because we have bad weather, for those of you all who know about Oya, Oya, she changes things. And they talked about it a little bit in Greenleaf. They talked about it a little bit in Queen Sugar. They talked about it a little bit on Harriet Tubman, but a lot of people didn't realize which Orisha they was actually bringing out, our deity. And even if
And
you were,
American Gods, they just did it last week with Oya and Yemenya and Oshun. All three of the sisters showed up.
yes, even Spike Lee have done it in some of those movies, But if you don't know what you're looking at, or if you go to the Catholic Church, because again, my late grandmother was Catholic, and so those deities, they're similar. You just got to know which one to call
Go
them.
to Starbucks. That's the same thing. That's your deity right there, baby, on the cut.
Say that one more time, please.
Starbucks, the deity of the mermaid.
Yes,
She
mermaid
is.
spirit. Yeah. But
Let
a
me.
lot of people don't put that together.
I don't know if you gotta go, if we still got time, but let me share with
Hmm.
you Burberry. I know I don't have a piece of Burberry sitting close to me without
Hmm.
getting off camera.
I like that.
Everybody knows TaylorMade. So check this out. Everybody imagine the Burberry fabric.
Hmm.
Got it in mind? We're dealing with etymology. When you think of Burberry, think of where you think it's from. And clearly you are as wrong as I was. One day I'm in this country called Kenya. It's found in East Africa. And if you're not familiar with Kenya, I'm gonna help you real quick. You've seen the people who hold this staff and they jump really, really high and they're wearing a red blanket. I have one of those blankets sitting right over on my wall. Well, I'm going through, those are the Maasai warriors.
Hmm.
And I'm in Nairobi, I'm in Mombasa. I'm going down the road and my ignorant behind sees some people wearing Burberry fabric resembling the exact same red one that you see the guys who jump up and down.
Hmm.
Little did I know that Burberry had originally gone to Africa and taken these people's prints, because if you know anything about the etymology of cultural prints, each print would be an entire family, like your family reunion shirt. You would know who people you are based on the fabric you wore.
Hmm.
And I discovered in Kenya that yes, before there was ever Burberry, these people were rocking that fabric. Now look at knowing the origin now and going online and looking up and seeing a Maasai warrior. I want you to see how your eye has tricked you from your heritage through etymology. For truly, if you can imagine the red fabric that you've already seen the man jumping up and down your whole life, and you just envision it with the tan brown instead of the red, you will have your eureka moment and understand all the other lines and patterns in every last one of those Kenyan, that part of the world. That pattern is the same, except for the color for the Maasai warriors are red, and the color for your indigenous people, yeah, Burberry owes somebody black some money, honey. You will go see tribes of people wrapped up in their cars. And I was going down the street in a taxi, not able to quickly pull out my camera and get it. But it demystifies the element of just thinking, when I see this, I'll no longer think Burberry. I think Africa. When she brings up Oya, Oshun, Yemenya, I know if you're unfamiliar, know that this is Mother Nature. Those are just her sisters. Those are your aunties. Get into it.
I like how you break that down.
Mm.
I really do. But you know what's so funny though? It seems like whenever someone steals something from someone else's culture, they make it grand and famous and wealthier. When sometimes you don't even realize how much you have right before you and what you have on the inside of you too. That's so much valuable.
That's why everybody has got to get out here, Google right now your name. Look at
Mm-hmm.
the origin of it. If you want a cardiologist, someone to give you natal readings, someone to do really help you on this journey. Aunt Mary's Niece online is available. I'm telling you, when it comes to this journey, it starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
You got help out there. Clearly, you're on the live tuning in, and there's something that's lining up with you. Whether or not you call on Aunt Mary's Niece, just answer the call of the ancestors, because
Mm-hmm.
to thine own self be true.
To our own self be true. And know thyself.
Know thyself and be filled with wealth. Know thy story and be filled with glory. Mm. I say, I say.
Ashe, ashe. No, we can take
And
it a little bit further, so we can say some voted B.
growing up, they used to say you was ashy, and I thought that was a bad thing. Now I'm out here shouting, I say. Oh, let's get to our original words.
You
Child,
know,
last
life is so good, and how we evolved over a period of time. And you know what? Something that a lot of people need to know, in your words should have an ashe. And for those of you who know, they know I just dropped something real nice. You need to have ashe in your mouth in order to manifest. Ashe. And women, when you're involved with a man, you should have enough ashe to give to that man so that he can manifest to take care of you, to provide for you, to love you, and to give that back to you. You should have enough ashe for your children when they need your strength, when they need your help, when they need your love, when they need your nurturing. But nevertheless, you should have enough ashe for yourself so you know when to walk away, when to stay, and when to grow.
Ashe.
Ashe.
It's the etymology behind the word pray.
Mhm.
I want you to consider PRAY versus PREY. This is why I need you to get into your books. Back in the day where I'm from, old folk used to say, "Want to hide from something from a nigga? Put it in a book." Well,
Book.
here
And speaking
I'm
of
ready.
that, if you want to know, go read some of my books. It's on the Emma's Daughter on Amazon, and then Barnes and Noble, and also at Walmart.com and stuff of that nature. Because you'll find out, you'll learn a whole lot. Because some of them names, they're not mispronounced, they're not misspelled, they're actually written with intent. And if you go and do the research, you'll understand exactly what I just told you.
We have a way of, it's so powerful, this written word, this spoken word. Just think back in the day when you was growing up, what it was all about, the music. Think about, okay, you talk about etymology and the power of words. Think about when you arrive into adulthood, reflected upon a song that you knew as you listened to it for the first time, for the 1000th time, but you truly just listened to it. It's like, I was dancing to that.
Yes, like the one by Evelyn Divine about My Love Come Down. I didn't realize they were talking about coming and stuff of that nature, and I'm just singing it, and my parents let me sing that thing, and I was like, and having an orgasm, and I'm being big and bold and singing it in front of people. I ain't had no business singing that, but I had no knowledge of what I was doing because I just like that Evelyn King Champagne. That song was just so hot.
And then when Jonesy and the Pussycat Doll movie came out, and I learned the power of words and etymology different, because that's when they were just showing us layers of, like you said, having coded speech, having people buy products because of what they see on the videos. It was the power of the spoken word manifested in a movie called Jonesy and the Pussycat Dolls. And it just showed me, it was like, dang, you telling me smokers will pick up a cigarette if they see one in a movie? You telling me this will trigger this? And I'm like, wow, if all the media is using words because they are aware of the origin and etymology and algorithm, that meant that it can impact the lives of people, and people would in fact know how they're actually able to govern themselves even on the market of money. When people can anticipate you and say, I know that I can, okay, I'm going to deal with culture, etymology of names. My father once warned about, now he's no longer living, so I can say this, because my father was an undertaker, and in that profession you had a Hippocratic oath the same way other doctors did. And oh man, body parts that people can come up missing, and legally you end up at a funeral home and nobody could know because he had this oath of secrecy. So there you would be inside a coffin without certain body parts. When we're looking at the etymology behind the name, how does this connect to it? Ray Ray, out here in these streets instead of staying home where the love is. He's just going up the block instead of staying with his girl. Little does he know that there is a wealthy man somewhere in the vicinity who just made it to the ER and will not make it without a kidney. The medical industry understands that all melanated body parts have a higher shelf life than any other parts that you can get on the planet. So the problem with that is you will end up being apprehended by the cops, taken into custody, ending up dead, knowing that there is a coded system that's going to protect you, when in fact, my father under Hippocratic oath could not tell you at the funeral that your nephew had no justifiable cause. Y'all didn't pay for them to do an autopsy because culturally this is just an additional fee that we're just not prepared for with death. So you didn't even understand he was taken by the cops for a kidney for someone else and never allowed to live out another day of his life. So only my father knew that that name that resonated in that algorithm, in that database that came up, that got somebody else a kidney, was that name because you checked off on your driver's license what? Come on, somebody.
But you know what? That's why God told me to take that off. that very reason, because I used to have that on my license, and he said when they came up with the I forgot what they call it now, but the new one, do not put that on there, and do not allow your kids to put that on there for that reason.
You better don't. And then you don't understand why there's so many people in the community that are coming up missing. You can't afford the attorneys to fight a system that is already economically prepared to just win. So we have to understand the etymology behind the names. When you're pulling these names out here, you're resonating a life or death sentence for someone. When you're dealing with the origins and the names, even when I go in a grocery store, one of my hustles back in America is, yo, me and coupons, son, I could get like $100 worth of food for like 29 cents was my best. It was like over
You know we
$100.
gotta do it. We from Southside Southern.
I had the receipt. I gave receipt.
Organize your discounts.
Look, I made a top 10 list years ago when I was working the after school program with your children. I would teach children everything I knew. I would bring in these Sunday newspapers. I would tell them if you cut, you can take some with you. I would teach them the way. If it says 50 cents off and you know eventually this product is going to be 99 cents, well, they might do a buy one, get one free. Or the item might be on sale and then therefore it's free. Now, there was a mother who came to snatch her child up, came into the resource center and threw some money at me and apologized, saying her child had robbed me without me knowing. And she didn't give the child a chance to speak for himself. And of course, she had the name. You know what I'm saying? I should have known with this name when she came through the door was going to be some mess. But I allowed the child to speak after she spoke her piece, saying, I ain't giving no money. What are you doing with his money? And he was like, Mom, Miss Anita gave me coupons. You stopped me by the store. I got all this candy. It was free. How is free? And he broke down the science. He said, I spent this time at school making this money to give you. I wasn't giving you what I stole from her purse. I was giving you because you said the gas money is what you needed in order to accommodate us in the after school program. When all of this came out with the child, you know, the child had a beautiful name. I can't say these things because we're on live and we're connected home. But he was named so perfectly, and that name was passed down. And that was a lesson learned for a parent in there and operating in abundance. But going into Bilo, I would say a special ancestral prayer. I would reach so deep into the Black Wall Street that I would actually, Jesus, it's me again. Buddha, Allah, everybody, come, come, come. Let's hit the stock market. I would beg them that before I walk through the threshold, that the impact that I would make, I could watch 11 o'clock news and see how the stock market just be like, I just hurt them boys. When I get to the checkout counter, the etymology behind names was the reason why I was successful. There would be a variety of people. And I initially, before shopping, I would glance over and I would see the names. Oh, you know, they speak to you. Oh, hi, Larissa. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Daquasia. You know, and you go on about your business. You see them in the aisles. When it's time to do it, I deal with gender, and I'm very gender specific. And if I had the choice between a male or a female cashier, I already know I can distract this man. Number one, when the etymology behind names, I would resort back to that. And I already knew that my likelihood of winning, if I was Rebecca, doing all of this, I would not be treated under a microscope as much as I would with someone who looked like me. If I chose I also looked at those names meant a lot. Ethel compared to Rebecca, Miss Little Perfectionist. You know, I'm gonna get the. I have to compare these names, and the origins mean something to me because one could just be trying to outdo everything, like she owned the store, and she could be the old one or the young one. I have to look at the names, and then when I go in, I'm able. It always boots. But see, I need you to make eye contact with me and not look at the thing that said this is supposed to be a 12 pack, and I did it on one bounty roll because I made a list of items that for the rest of your life you should never spend any money on. Anything by Airwick, you should never have to buy toilet paper, aerosol cans, candles, Any core products, KNORR, no ramen noodles. You should never ever have to buy.
Now, I got to stop you right there. I do have candles that I make for people, but
No, not the spirit work candles.
oh,
Not
okay.
spirit
They're
work candles. I'm talking about grocery store. We and buy low with
okay.
coupons for etymology. Let me tell you
Okay.
about etymology of prices. I'm going to teach you a money hack. So anything with bounty, the hack is use the coupon that says off a 12 pack because it's going to be the highest dollar amount. But if you swipe that mug without them looking, it'll go good for a single roll. That's for make it free. Those those are really like Airwick products and candles and Glade. Every 3 weeks they go on sale. So you save those coupons for those times. And that's when it goes from 149, 179 a can to 99 cents once a month. And then that's when you go and you use that dollar off, and that extra penny really helps on each one of those at the end. When it comes down to core products, KNOOR, this is like seasonings and ramen, and they have so many food selections. The hack with that is anything with a trademark is the entire product line. Anything with that trademark on it, you can get all of those products. You just need to keep that, use the etymology behind the name of the cashier that you're dealing with, and make sure that they're not paying attention to the paper, because the algorithm inside that barcode is picking up a trademark and a dollar an amount. They're not reading that it's supposed to be, this specific item made by Bounty, what the picture says. So those items, yogurts, all kinds of things. So on my way home, I would do these things. I knew my mom was a hoarder, so in order to not be a hoarder like her, I would drive around Sumter County and take the bags, tie them up, run up to a bunch of old people's house, ring the doorbell, or go throughout those care centers, and just run away, leave it at the door, and do that as religiously as I knew that I was blessed to have it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool.
I
Now,
got
like for me, they used to have a dollar sodas because I was the Pepsi queen back in the day. So I like to call those 1-800 numbers on the back of the can. Like this right here is the Sun Kiss. The number is 1-866-374-6567. So I would call them and ask them for a coupon, and they would mail it to my home. And and these were 2-liter bottles. Now keep this in mind. This was back in the day, a long time about 13 to 16 years ago. And so for Food Lion, they would have it on sale one day for 86 cents and then for 99 cents the next. But then I would have a coupon for $1 off or 50 cents off. So I didn't have to pay full price. But I also had a classmate, our classmate, matter of fact, he saw me buy some Lay's potato chip that was for $3.99 and got it for free because of the fact that I had a $3.99 coupon. Because again, I would call those 1-800 numbers and they will mail you the coupon. You don't have to call them because something is wrong. You just call and tell them that you are an avid fan of the product and you buy it on a consistent basis, and they'd be more than happy to give you a free coupon. And you might just get one, but that's still one free. So I was doing that for years. I'm the queen.
Let me go to my mental whole food list right now, so that when I come home, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of coupons from all my favorite places.
Mm-hmm.
Manifest.
Absolutely. And so, we have been on for an hour and 18 minutes, and I know that we're going to have a discussion after this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and close it. Do you know that prayer? The Lord, please help me to accept the things I cannot change. The Serenity Prayer.
Say it, I'll remember it because my mama used to say it all the time.
Oh my goodness! Let me go to the phone.
Like Girl Scouts at the close of the Girl Scout ceremony. We have cross hands.
Yeah, I remember that. I love being a Girl Scout, and they say that shows too, because the Girl Scout is always prepared. Oh goodness! Here you go, the Serenity Prayer. At least I'm trying to Get it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And without further ado, on today, we want to encourage you to accept all of those things, which is serenity, courage, and wisdom. And until we meet again, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And